Video games. How many of us have been raised playing them? Throughout our lifetime, how many different systems have you used? How many different games have you played? And what games stuck with you? Tonight we're talking about the creativity that goes into making or playing video games and how they have changed over the years. Interesting topic. It's not something we really got into before.
It is. I'll be honest. When you said video games, I kind of went, oh, well, because I'm not a gamer. But then I used to be a gamer. So I was, Atari 2600, ColecoVision when I was a kid, VIC-20. I had a Sega Genesis.
It's funny. You're like naming off every game I have on my list.
Yeah.
In our notes.
I had an Xbox, and I currently own a Wii, which, in light of today's episode, I actually grabbed out of the cupboard, and I'm going to hook it up to the TV, and I'm going to play it because now I've got a hankering for Super Mario 3, which I can play on the Wii. I downloaded it, so.
That's funny that you're playing the Wii, and this is what we're going to get into, all the different game systems and over the years. And Mark and I, you have kind of more tenure than the other two guys in our chat today. So we've been exposed to some of these older games like ColecoVision and the Radio Shack VIC-20, the Commodore VIC-20. There's some crazy games, and I think to appreciate how good they are today, excuse me, you really have to see where they came from. Like my first favorite game was Joust on Atari.
The Atari 2600,
yeah. Joust was awesome. Did you guys ever play Joust?
No.
You're on like an I don't know, what would it be? What are those birds that stick their head in the ostrich? You're like an ostrich, and you're going around, and you fly on an ostrich, and you have a jousting stick, and you have to go and you have to joust other people, and you're like going around. Anyway, I know it's like random, but I loved the game, and I was actually pretty good at it. And there was like Asteroids and all these other games that we played.
And then they started to get more advanced, and you had games like Pitfall.
Yes, Pitfall.
And Frogger. There was one. And I'm trying to remember what system it was on. It must have been on the Atari because it was like you had and this is completely alien to people today, right? I mean, Sean, you probably grew up like what's the earliest remote controller you remember using for a video game? Like how many buttons were on that controller?
Fuck. The first system I think I ever owned was a hand-me-down, and it was an SNES.
Okay, so it had like 4 buttons on it, right? 4 buttons or 6?
I believe so. It had the D-pad, and then it had the two. It had the A and B button, and then the two bumpers, I think, on it.
Okay, yeah. So that was the SNES. Now the Atari 2600, it had. The original controller was a square block with a joystick on it and 1 button on it. And if you got fancy, you could upgrade that to like a joystick with a trigger on the top. And I remember we used to play, there was an Olympic game that we used to play, and to run, you had to move the joystick back and forth. So if you can imagine, you've got these kids and you're trying to hold it on the table, and you've got the joystick sort of in between you're doing this with the joystick. Trying to go left and right as fast as you could, and you're burning through remote like controllers because it was hard on the little pad.
Oh, you're breaking the crap out of them.
But we became experts in rebuilding the things, right? Like you break a controller, but something broke different, so you're scavenging parts off the old one, and it was crazy.
Forgive my terrible gutter brain, but that would be like the weirdest thing to walk in on.
Yeah. Back and forth, Sean, not up and down. Back and forth.
Oh my God. Yeah, we went there already. But it's true.
Right down downward spiral.
Oh man. Forgive me.
Yeah, it's and then I remember I bought the Xbox, and I think I'm trying to remember what came after the Xbox. Was it the 360? Okay, so the 360 was out, and I bought the Xbox and a bunch of games off a coworker because our friends had kids, and they were getting to that age where they were coming over, and I thought, I'll get a game system and the kids can play. And it came with a whack of games. And one of those games it came with was Halo. And I put it on the TV, and I was playing it, and Chris goes, what are you watching? I go, I'm playing a game. And she goes, this is a game? Like, she couldn't believe the graphics, like, from what we were used to.
8-bit to fluid motion and color and detail. I mean, I know it's kind of aging myself, but you think back to the first computer you ever used, and all it ever did was print on a dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
And you have to wait for a sheet to run through, and you have like a picture of a person on it. Like it took 2 hours for the thing to print.
Yeah, the tractor feed printer.
Technology has changed so much, and the creativity that goes into making games is so incredible as well. Actually, the person who made our sign here, John Harrison, his brother is a person who was listed on the EA Sports hockey games. He helped make those hockey games. And I remember one year John showed up at my door. He's like, here. And he gave me one of the games to play. And I was like, that's really cool. Thanks, John. And he's like, yeah, my brother. Look, his name's on the back. I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty awesome. Apparently, it's a pretty crazy world when you're making video games. It's not a very mentally good job to get into. I mean, everybody thinks that it's so great to be a game maker, but then you get into that world and it's not fun. I mean, it's a lot of work and you get fired for no reason. And it's mental health wise. I mean, you can't.
That doesn't only happen in the video game world. Eh?
No,
No.
Mark.
That's true.
I know, right? Scary. But
Now the rabbit hole goes even deeper because I have a drawer here on my desk.
Oh, no.
Of course, it's a desk. Of course, there's a fucking drawer. Hold on. I'm just looking here because there's some. Depends. Oh, here it is. I don't know. We're gonna see this here.
No way.
Postal.
Are you familiar with the game, Sean?
I've heard of it, and I think I've seen bits and pieces of gameplay, but
it was banned everywhere, and I got a copy before they pulled it off the
What is
market.
that, going around and shooting people in like a post office? When
The premise is you're a postal worker that's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and you're going around killing people, and like there's some really really dark moments in it. Like, I'm not even going to go there with the final scene, but I did finish the game. I got all the way to the end. But if you get your with all these games, it's it's in the same aspect of play as in Diablo, where you're playing on the playing field where you're running around and you're looking at yourself down sort of on an angle like a third person. And there's if you hit X at any point in the game, you turn the gun on yourself. And it's like the suicide button. And it's like, he says, I regret nothing. And then, yeah, it's craziness. But
yeah, there's lots of games that have been banned, Brian. There's a couple of actually that I know of that are pretty fucked up. So
yeah. I'm bad because this is pretty much what I play. I'm still playing NHL 2009, right? Like this, when Mark said I'm not a gamer, I thought, all right, well, first of all, that's a good place to start with our conversation too. Is what is a gamer?
Yeah.
Right. So I love playing video games, but I'm not a gamer. To me, a gamer is somebody who can either do it professionally or at a high level of play where they can just sit in and have battles against other people and win and. Like that's not me at all. Aurora, do you play games?
Like video games?
Yeah.
Video games, not so much anymore. I'd love to hear this from other people, but like what were your first video games you ever, or computer games? I guess, does computer games and video games fall under the same category?
I would think so. Any kind of digital gaming system.
Yeah, I would think so, but
well, that's the thing, right? So any sort of digital game. I mean, I game on a regular basis, but not digital gaming. So that I would consider myself like a regular D&D player, but I'm not. I wouldn't do that professionally. It's just kind of on the side of things. And then when we don't do that, we play board games, and that's it's a physical game.
Yeah.
But my first experience with the video games, I have a few, but my first ever one that it's burned into my memory is this Winnie the Pooh game that was called Ready to Read with Winnie the Pooh, and it came out in 1997. I just looked it up. It came out in 1997. My sister, my middle sibling, was born that year, and I must have been 5 or 6 playing this game, and it was like little. It was like a little adventure. You'd have these little like solving puzzles kind of clue, but it was also like teaching kids like how to read or how to write or how to spell things correctly. So like I guess in my age group, games like computer games were even being used in school type scenarios, being used at home. Like in my case, my mom got the game and thought it would be good for me to like do this as well as like homework type of thing. But then there's also the computer games that would come in cereal boxes when I was younger, or come in like a little CD. And the main one was Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was like a big one, and I remember playing that so much when I was little.
It's actually in that drawer. I've got it in that drawer.
The Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you would do all sorts of crazy things. You make this crazy big roller coaster. You could, you could watch all the little people riding the roller coaster, and you're getting your money, so you can make bigger roller coasters. Or you could do stupid things like build a fence around a person and trap the person in the fence, like just dumb stuff. But you could do it because the game would allow you to do these things. And I remember seeing stuff like this. So, I mean, I guess in the era that Sean and I grew up in, it was just like, it was a free thing that came in cereal boxes. It was a free thing that you could, I think there was a Game of Life CD and a bunch of different things. Yeah.
The drawer.
Yeah, the only other one that I can think of, all computers came, like when I was younger, all computers came with things like Minesweep, and there's another one that's
Solitaire.
Actually, that's interesting that you say that, because now I'm wondering. I'm of course I'm sitting at a PC, so is there? Yeah, there's no games. There's no games folder, so I'm just like, is every start menu on like Windows 95 Minesweeper, there was a games folder that had the pinball, the Minesweeper. Yep. But I've got,
and I think Apple, it's like chess or something like that. It comes with or came with, but I guess it doesn't really come with that stuff anymore.
No, because it's all on your phone.
People weren't using it, but
it's
oh, there's an Xbox Game Bar.
Oh, you have you have Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
But it's interesting because the original video game system we had, and I'm not sure, Brian, when did you move to Newmarket?
91, 92.
So it may have been gone already. Do you remember a business called Fantasy Place?
Actually, maybe more 94, 95. Anyway, but no, I don't remember Fantasy Place.
So it was in the plaza behind your store, where the big Shoppers Drug Mart and the No Frills is.
Yep.
In that strip, there was a Kmart, it was a Loblaw, and there was Fantasy Place. It was an arcade, and I used to go there with a mitt full of quarters, and below. I'm not even sure what it is across from you now. Is it still a gym on the top floor of that?
Where Persicini's was?
Where Persicini's was, yeah. There used to be Playmate Billiards at the bottom, and they had an arcade in there. So there was two arcades at that end of town, and we used to spend hours. Like, I was just Googling it. We used to go in there, and the game Dragon's Lair was big, and they had Dragon's Lair at Fantasy Place. And I just looked, it came out in 1983. And it was a Laserdisc game. But those were the games that I originally played before, because in 1983 you didn't have a system in your house, right? You may have like the Atari 2600, or maybe it was Pong or whatever. But
it's funny. I was going through the history of video games, and video games have been around since 1952.
Wow.
Not something that we would play like that, but like that's when they first came out with the whole algorithms and so on and so forth. So there have been video games out there since our entire life, but it's like you say, most of them weren't things that we had at home. They weren't convenient things. You go to an arcade, you do something like that, you go play pool, or
it wasn't that easily accessible.
Exactly.
Like now we can download it on our phone, and then what about this? It's a cell phone, right? Like that was when my dad got a cell phone for the first time. That was like a really like big thing in my house. Like,
well, I want to talk about this, but I want to go over your question that you asked first, Aurora. You asked us all what was the first game that we got.
The first game that like stuck out in your head for me was this Winnie the Pooh reading game, or there was like a TVO Kids like online game that was like this knight quest thing where you're like a knight and you have to go through and like do all these quests as a knight, and you get like a little certificate at the end that's really cute that you're like knighted as a knight. So those two like stick out in my head as like those are like the first games I remember playing.
And it's funny because I mean you still play Dungeons and Dragons, so like Night Quest.
Yeah.
Is very
Yeah, I guess
line
it
with
kind
that.
of sort of goes along with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
For me, my original game was Galaxia. Remember Galaxia, where you were like that little thing at the bottom going back and forth, and you were shooting.
I think it was called Galaxian.
Maybe, and it was like
Yeah.
a little. It was one Christmas that I got this game, and it looked like a stand-up play. You know, the two little knobs and the button, but it was this tiny little version, and it took like 8D sized batteries. And I remember that Christmas, I did not stop playing that game. I have no clue where it is today, but I wish I still had it. But that was my first game I really played, and then of course we got the Atari and Joust and all that, Frogger and stuff like that. But
yeah, we had the VIC-20, and it was a game called, I just looked it up because I couldn't remember the name of it. It was called Gorf, and it was I think it came with the VIC-20. It was a cartridge you put in.
Because I remember the VIC-20 as well. I was living in the States for that.
That's what I had. Like my dad bought a VIC-20 because we were all going to be computer programmers, and
I'm going to do a quick screen share, and I want to share what we're talking about as far as VIC-20 or all these older kind of computers. This is what we had to deal with. This is the kind of product that we used. It's kind of interesting. This is what we used to game with, guys.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like Mark was saying, a little handheld joystick with a button if you were lucky.
Yeah, that's the Magnavox version of it. Yeah, little computer.
Now this little computer right here ended up being a forerunner for a lot of other gaming systems, and then Magnavox ended up suing them because they used Magnavox's technology to make like a bunch of other game systems after this. So this is a system that was around for a little while, and then when it disappeared, it was just like they were still making money because everybody else was stealing their ideas,
Man, my knowledge of video games is just getting bigger and bigger because like I remember the first system that I ever had was an SNES, and now I have a PlayStation 4, and it's impossible to get a PlayStation 5, let alone a Series X Xbox, which is the newest one. And it was a pain in the ass to even get the one that I have now because it's a collector's item. So it's like, what the fuck, right? This is so wild now.
Well, and think about that. So like the one, what are you gaming with now?
Currently here, I'll show you so there it is right there. That's my PS4.
You got it all going.
Okay, so you got a PS4.
Don't mind the mess. It's the fucking garbage and whatever else. But this is that's my collector's edition Spider-Man PS4.
Of course, you have a Spider-Man PS4.
So when you Google PS4, it says kids video game system.
Proud of it.
So I'm just sort of I'm because I'm a geek. I have to look. I'm looking for the specs on the PS4.
They're officially faster than my PS3. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah. All I know is that this system, I paid what $250 for it off a guy on Facebook, and if I go on Amazon and look for that exact system, the bundle itself is just over $1,000.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is my big hindrance. Video games have always been extremely expensive for me, and to be able to justify it when I've got so many other things that I like to do, I never really justified it. I mean, I had a Sega, and I still have it, actually. It's in my basement. My friend made a big box that says, "Welcome to the next level" on the top of it. And, it's this big thing with the Sega system inside. So you just pull this box out, you plug the cords into your TV, and you put your game in, and off you go. Box weighs about 30 pounds. It's huge. It's awesome. Anyway, Sega, I loved Sega. I played that thing like crazy all the time.
The PS4, it doesn't have as much as I thought it would, but it's got, for memory, it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM in it. The Commodore VIC-20 had 5 kilobytes of RAM.
Wow.
Holy shit.
So, yeah.
Fuck, I got like what? Like the game that I have currently on my TV right now, which is the new Call of Duty that just came out like last week. Just like on the update alone and the download file for it is like well over 125 gigabytes.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
wow.
for sure.
Yeah. My system is fucked. Like I'm running, it's a 1 terabyte system right now with an extra 1 terabyte external hard drive.
Yeah.
So right now I'm pushing the memory on my system.
Yeah. Yeah, they get big, but we used to back up like even with the VIC-20 and the Commodore 64, you had a disk drive, and it was the old 5 1/4 inch floppy disk drive that came with it for storage. But if you didn't have that, if you were poor, you had a tape drive.
Yes.
You had a tape drive, and you were reusing. I would steal my sister's tapes, and I would record over her Sean Cassidy albums, and
Sean Cassidy. I was just talking about
I would save my games to the tape, so that you could say that's how you saved a game, was onto a tape. And if it didn't, and if there's something happened, the tape stretched, your game was gone. That was it. It was crazy. But no, it's interesting to see the technology. But you reminded me of something. Like I said, in my youth I did game. Like I was the first of my friends with high speed internet. I was on when Rogers went high speed. I was one of the test people in Newmarket.
Must be nice.
So we would play campaigns on games like the Star Wars X-Wing versus TIE Fighter or Duke Nukem. We would play, and I always hosted because I had the fastest connection. And now it was never very, very much fun for me because I was never really great at video games. And I would die in the campaign, and then my friend he'd figure out where you were going to respawn, and he'd just be there to shoot you again. And he was laughing. There was no mic like you would have, and you're not talking in real time. You have to type messages back and forth like you're a dick, and you type it, and he'd LOL it. But
meanwhile, while you're typing, you're dying because you're
I was already dead, so it didn't matter. But fast forward, my nephew, both my nephews are avid gamers, and my nephew he says, "Uncle Mark, come play COD with me," and I'm like, "Awesome." Right. So I'm Uncle Mark. I'm the cool uncle. So I go downstairs and we're playing COD. I don't know what version it was, but we're on a boat and it's him and I against all the bad guys. And so he gives me a quick tutorial on the 300 buttons on this remote and on this controller. And here's this. So I'm running around trying to kill things. But then we start playing, and about half an hour goes by. He has not said a word the whole time. The whole time he's not said a word. We're playing, and I'm like trying not to die. And so finally, after half an hour, he pauses the game. He turns to me, looks me dead in the face, and goes, "Uncle Mark, you suck."
See, I suck too, which is why I bought. Actually, speaking of controllers, I bought one of these bad boys. Well, I didn't buy it, but it was a gift from a friend. So these are actually these are very expensive PlayStation controllers. They come in Xbox and whatever else for PC and all that other shit too, right? So this is a SCUF controller. So as you can see, it has two little buttons right here, little tabs on the back. So what you can do is, the reason why these are so expensive, the sticks can be changed out and the buttons can be changed out. You can change the face plates. I have like stippled grip tape on the back here.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's these paddles that you can like map to the buttons. So when I play COD, if I hit this one on the right, it's my crouch. And then this one on the left is like the jump button. Right. Okay. So it's like easier access. So I don't have to take my fingers off the stick. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So can we talk about Call of Duty? Because
yes,
I suck at that game.
Let's
talk. Oh, that's what you mean by COD. That's where it's like a fishing game. You're catching COD. Like, what are you talking about?
This is the new one right here, actually.
Okay, so Mark said he sucked, but I wouldn't have.
No, my nephew said I sucked. I thought I was doing pretty bad.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yes. So sorry, your nephew said you sucked at the game, but I guarantee you he would have kicked me off within like 2 minutes of playing, because all I can do in that game is go, look up, look down, look up, look down, because I can't get over those kind of games where you have to be like controlling your field of view.
Yeah,
as
it's
well
first
as
person shooter. Yeah.
Yeah, controlling your walking. So like there's games that I absolutely love the storyline of, but I know I couldn't play, so I actually just watched the playthroughs of it because I wanted to find out about the storyline.
Actually, that just reminded me of another first-person shooter. The first one I played was Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah, wow. I remember Wolfenstein. That shit was fucked up.
My little brother got me to play that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so
But, yeah,
bad.
I feel you, Aurora, because the whole idea of, I mean, I get it. They want it realistic, right? You're looking up, you're looking down. You've got to look over your shoulder. Guys creep up behind you. It's a different world when you get into
Yeah,
playing
but
that.
like the association of like moving a dial, like, or like a joystick,
Yeah.
to like what you actually do with your, like, it's to me, like moving my head up and down, whatever, is not something that I think about, right? So having to translate that to actually like just like moving, like I just can't.
So you need that in
can't.
VR. You need to be able to put the headset on.
Yeah, I'd be more into it if it was like that, like
it
and
takes
all
a
I have
lot
to do
of-
is take care of my, like, where the person moves, because obviously with VR you can't walk as far as you would. It wouldn't really do anything.
It takes a lot of practice.
That's fine.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice, because I remember when COD 4 came out. I think that was in when was that? 2008. I think, I don't know. They've come out with a lot of COD since then. 2008 or 2009, I think COD 4 came out, which is the first one that I played.
I'd never heard it called COD before. This is like blowing my mind.
Yes, it's COD, COD, right?
COD,
they don't want people. People my age are like, we don't want to say the whole game name.
I know.
It's
Nobody
so
says
stupid.
words anymore. It's all just.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know.
Letters.
I just found out people call going to Starbucks, they call it Starbs, and I'm like, what?
That's
Why?
weird.
I don't know. We call it Tim Hortons as Timmy's,
Starbs?
Because the world's
I don't know.
lazy.
Oh
it's
my
really bothering.
goodness.
But anyway,
Man, let's
I
go to
digress.
Starbs for an extra cappuccino.
Well, no,
Or a
let's
mocha
not-
chocolate bullshit.
I can get someone calling Tim Hortons Timmy's, right? Like, I get that.
It's a
Or
person's name.
Tim's. Yeah, but like Starbs?
Yeah.
Sorry,
like
that's
people
a whole
going,
other
I
conversation.
verified it. I hired a new young girl, and I think she's 16. And I hired her, and we were talking the other day, and I verified that. She goes, like I said, when you go to Starbucks, she said they actually call it Starbucks when they're going, but some people do call it Starbs. I'm like, oh, geez. Anyways, back to video games.
So, have we all answered the question about what games we've played first?
Or you were Winnie the Pooh. I was Gorf. What did you have, Sean?
I had, okay, this is gonna make me sound like a weirdo, but I had 3. One of which
He was a
2
rich
of
kid.
which definitely not. I actually had to, my mom made me save up my Christmas money for 3 years to get my first system. So that was
Good mom.
that was
Yeah,
something.
there you go.
The first games I remember playing, I remember I bought my very first PlayStation 2, and I remember I got the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which actually got me into skateboarding.
Yes,
believe it
I
or
played
not.
that. That was awesome.
Yep,
That
I
got
did
you
that.
into skateboarding?
Playing the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games.
Get
Yeah,
out of here.
100%. They got me
That's
into it,
wild.
and then Skate came out, and then that was like a whole new fucking can of worms.
Skate or Die. That
It
a
was
good one.
fucked. Yeah,
Love that
Thrasher had a game too. That was fun. And then I remember I used to go to my uncle's house, and me and my cousin would crash there for a night or two. And I remember he had the original PlayStation, and he had this fighting game, but it was like the X-Men. So it was like Mortal Kombat, but it was like X-Men.
Yeah.
It was friggin' awesome. So we played that, and then we did another one. It was on his PC called Counter-Strike. So the one that I remember very fondly was Counter-Strike 1.6, which was the first one I believe they released. It was it was a division of Half-Life, which was one of the first games that came out on Steam. So it was that was the game that got me into like shit like this. So playing that stuff and then jumping into COD is a completely different world. It's a whole different. It's I don't know. It's just a whole fucking weird thing. But the first person shooters are the main things that I play, and then the off chance maybe I'll play a bit of Gran Turismo or Forza just because I want to build cars and be a dick.
Yeah, see, that's where I am. I like more the driving or flying games than and not Grand Theft Auto. That doesn't really appeal to me. But I mean, it does in the driving. Like my nephews have it, but I just drove around. I didn't worry about anything else. I just had fun driving.
You know, that's the thing. Games are awesome. There's so many things we can do. I wonder how many people actually play the games the way they're supposed to. Like I've got this guy, and like you say, Mark, all I end up doing is going around and just shooting and killing people, running over people with my car. You know, like trying to shoot as many people as I can before the cops kill me.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
He's a nice guy outside of the video games, but he's a
outside
monster on
video
the
games, I would
inside.
never kill
That's
anybody. But I mean,
What about-
you suspend disbelief in these kinds of things, right? You can do stupid things that you normally wouldn't do.
Well, yeah, that's right. There was a game called Carmageddon, and it was for the PC. I don't know if it was on any other platform. I had it, and you actually got, when you ran over people, the messier it was, you got gore points, you got gore bonuses for like really smearing.
Okay, now tell me, when you're driving down the street, you don't still joke with Chrissy, or you guys joke with your people. Okay, how many points would this be if I ran over these?
Oh,
people? Like, honestly.
who
No.
doesn't do that?
No, never.
See-
That
see-
just would not be
see-
proper, my friend. No.
See cyclists on the side
We're
of the
not
road, you're like
condoning it
10
here.
bucks. It's
Not
10 bucks if
condoning
you hit that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Little
see-
dog too.
I think-
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, free game if you can take out the lady, but not the dog.
Yeah, there you
Like,
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Extra life.
Yeah, because
but
I don't care who cares in a movie, just don't hurt the dog, right?
one thing I have seen though is like gamers, and we use that expression, gamers, people that do this regularly, have higher than normal average intelligence. They're smarter. They can do problem solving differently, right? Very quick thinkers, have the ability to make these decisions on the fly. I think gaming was very underrated at the beginning when Mark and I first started. I don't know about you, Mark, but when I was younger, we were told not to be getting these games because it makes you lazy and it makes you sit around the house and do nothing. And
Yeah,
we
eat
were always
Doritos
told,
and you know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're ruining your life by playing video games. And then all of a sudden video games started becoming tools to help people do more things. Like Sean, you played a video game and that got you skating, and you're like a freaking awesome skater. So that's don't laugh. It's true.
former awesome skateboarder.
All right. I guarantee you, if you went and skated today, you'd still kick my ass. So
Oh, wow.
anyway, like probably literally. Anyway,
Yeah.
point being, when like my friend Gabriel, you guys know Aurora,
I know
Mark,
Gabriel.
you know Gabriel. He used to be a professional gamer. That's what he did before I met him, and you know, he's one of the smartest guys I've ever known. Like the guy is quick, like super quick with anything he has to say.
Yeah.
So one thing I've noticed is for sure when you do get into the world of gaming, you're using your senses at a higher level. You're able to focus on more things, I think, than most people can. Unless you can't, and then you're one of those gamers that just kind of puts the blinders on and sits there drooling as you play, and you know,
That's me.
don't
That's
pay
me.
attention to anything around you. But
Yeah.
I find it fascinating with all the different kinds of games that are out there. There's something for anybody. There's literally something for any creative taste.
Yeah.
But have you ever played a game so intense that you had to turn it off? Like it was just too much.
Yep.
What game
Postal.
was that? Postal? Yeah. Okay.
Fuck, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think. Okay, the one game I remember playing, it was another Call of Duty, but it was the campaign from it. And I remember there was this one mission, and the one mission got the game banned in a few countries.
Oh, wow.
It was specifically entitled No Russian. So if you want to look it up, I can send you guys a link or whatever in the chat later on. But this mission was so fucked up that the game was ripped off of shelves. And I think when they remastered the game, they actually like changed the whole mission within itself. So it's basically just 4 Russian dudes. And you're playing as a guy, I guess, undercover for the CIA or the FBI or whatever. And you're undercover with these Russian dudes, and you go into an airport with big fucking machine guns and you just mow down civilians, which is the whole thing, right? So I remember when I played that mission for the first time, I got like halfway through it and I was like, I gotta go nap. Like,
Wow.
I gotta go to sleep. I can't do this shit. I'm going to hell for it. But I watch it now. I'm like, this is fucked up, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Aurora?
See, I'm not very good at video games. So for me, like this kind of thing, like there was many times where I was like trying to like battle a boss in like stupid game. Like I'm just gonna sound like so bad at games saying this, but like a Legend of Zelda game and a Ratchet and Clank game, and like you're trying to like beat these bosses, and then you know you can't. You do like back like over and over and over and over again. Like play it like 15, 20 times and you die every single time.
And those are those games that if you don't like, you have to go so far before it'll save. So when
Yes.
you die, you have to start way back at the beginning
Yes.
again.
Yes.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I can't
Yeah.
play those games.
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
that.
So for me,
I've got a whole
that's
bunch of
happened to me
those.
countless times where I'm just like I stopped playing because I can't
Yeah.
finish what it wants
Yeah.
me to do.
Yeah, the controller gets all
and I'll
sweaty,
come
and you're
back.
like,
Yeah, and because I just don't know how to like I don't have the capability of doing it. I want to proceed in the game, but I just can't. So yes, there's that for sure. Going back to the type of game, just like a little side thought to add, because we kind of changed the topic a little bit. You guys were talking about things like Grand Theft Auto and another car game where you are like you get points for actually like doing wrong things.
Yeah.
One game that actually was pretty popular in my house. We had a PlayStation 2, I think, when I in like my teenage years. It was big. We got it for my dad for like Christmas or something, and then we all started kind of playing it. But one of the games that we got was Burnout 3, and one of the mini games was like all these like there was all these cars that were lined up, and then you would drive this car like off a ramp or into like a weird situation, and you have to like crash and cause the most dollar damage of the car as possible.
Burnout 3 Takedown. That was one of my favorite fucking games to play on the PlayStation.
Yes, and we would play this and then just like challenge each other how like who can make the worst accident. Like that would cause the most damage. So when you guys were talking about it, I just suddenly got this rush of like memories of playing this game. So
I'm really glad that kids didn't play that game and then just like get in the car.
But the thing is it wasn't lined up like a normal traffic situation. It was just like all these cars next to each other, like very specifically, like like when you go to like a monster truck rally where all these cars are lined up and the monster truck runs over. It was lined up like that, but still, it was just ridiculous. And thinking back to it.
It's
like,
fun. It's like Angry Birds. It's kind of inane but wonderfully destructive. Like just get the wreck stuff. Get Limp Bizkit. Break shit going through my head. Right.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? On Brian's point, actually, he said that he's glad kids didn't go out and like get in the cars and fucking go nuts. Right. Speaking of. The whole reason why I'm into COD so much is actually when I go out and I do my airsoft gig or whatever the fuck, right? I actually have my GoPro that sits on my helmet. I don't know if you guys have seen that footage that's on my Instagram there. It's not very good, but it's something, right? But basically I'll go out and then it's my way of actually playing the game, but like doing it in like a way where I don't actually have to kill people and I don't actually have to die.
Or get arrested, which would suck.
There you go. Or join the army, right? I can just go and then pay $40 and then get, bruises and welts and then have fun.
There you go.
Yeah, right. That's cool. But there's a lot of, it's funny because we touched on quite a few different kinds of games, but Sean, you touched on the X-Men game, which is actually what it was called. X-Men, it came out in 1992 at Google. And you had to choose a character and fight your way through it. And there's a whole genre of games like that, like this. I call them the Street Fighter game because I think Street Fighter was the original one, but there was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version of that in the arcade that we used to play. And then there was the one boss would come in and he had the New York accent. Is "Say up where's Toidles," and he kind of fight that guy. But then there was Mortal Kombat as well.
Mortal Kombat.
And all the finishing moves and all that stuff. So we used to play that. We used to play that a lot. And again, you always have that friend that was so good at it that you could just never beat him. It didn't matter. It's because that's all he did.
I was never that friend.
It's like Super Smash Bros, man. I can't fucking play Super Smash Bros with any of my friends because they'll honestly kick my ass from here to fucking Tibet. Like, it's fun.
You like step onto that game and then all of a sudden just get booted off.
I just can't do it. You get that's a game that just makes me so infuriated. I just want to punch somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a quick second. The emotions that games put us through are insane. Like, completely insane. I was asking about, if you ever played a game that you just wanted to just shut off, whatever. This was that game for me. Red Dead Redemption. But the zombie pack. Did you guys ever get the zombie pack?
The zombie DLC? No, I didn't get that.
So with this game, you could download the zombie DLC, and then you're basically doing the same game, but you got to kill zombies. So you're riding your horse through this old whatever, and you hear the zombie noises, and you're like trying to find the zombie noises, and you can't find the zombies. So you're still riding your horse. Next thing you know, there's like 20 zombies crawling up your horse. I would lose my shit. I couldn't think. I'm just getting anxious even thinking about it. The sound in the first, and then looking around for it, and it's like Aurora is saying, that movement, trying to get the movement right to try and find where the sound's coming from. And like, I had to shut that game off so many times.
Yeah.
I love Red Dead, but I could not play the zombie pack.
I had that, I think, for the Xbox. I think or something like
Put on
it.
headphones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's some pretty crazy stuff. My favorite game of all time, which actually I'm not going to get into right now. That's my question for later. What your favorite game is? I was going to say, because I've got it sitting right here beside me. But let's go on to one other topic here. What do you guys think age group wise the majority of people are these days that play? Do you think like it's all people our age, Mark and my age, or is it Aurora, Sean your age, or like is there like
I think it's like people who are younger than me and Sean personally. Like I feel like it's like high school boys and girls, like down to like end of elementary school. That's
we
like,
have to qualify
like
something though. Guys never really get older than 19. So technically, I think any guy at any age could be qualified as like a high school kid. I mean, we all still play games, I think.
Yeah, but like I've heard these things of like people being on like, what's that one that people play online?
Minecraft or?
No. It's like one of the shooter games, but it's not Call of Duty. It's online.
Battlefield?
And he plays like a group and they have like cute little characters. Not cute like little characters, but the designs are kind of cute. The one that like that dance became popular.
Fortnite.
Fortnite?
Yeah.
Is it Fortnite?
Fortnite is garbage. I hate that game.
I've never played it. But you got to pay $50 a month to have that game or something.
No, it's a free download. It's just all the microtransactions is what costs you money.
Yeah. So that's one of those ones that you can play online as like a team together and like and I've heard these things of people playing this particular game, and it's like a bunch of like 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds playing, and they know how to play the game, and they're just like cursing out the other people who like get things wrong, and they're just like on each other's
bullies.
Yeah, but they're like 12.
The amount of times that I've been called every racial slur in the book by somebody who is substantially younger than me playing Call of Duty is abhorrent. Yeah. It's bad. Like this game gets people so mad. Like I could be playing it for like not even 20 minutes and already I'm waving my arms like an asshole being like, what the fuck? Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And Overwatch is the other one.
Yeah. Oh, that one I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't really I played maybe once or twice because I know people who have the games like downloaded or whatever, but yeah, there's just a lot when you're playing the online, there's just a lot of people just trolling.
Yeah. So what is it about video games that you like the most?
I like that it shuts my brain off, like aside from the fact that it makes me so fucking angry sometimes. I like the fact that I can just come home and this is my form of relaxing. Like I will literally like today I got a Snapchat from a friend of mine and because I was literally just ripping home just so I could play COD. Like no reason. I just wanted to play video games because this is my form of relaxing when I'm done working, right? So she Snapchats, she's like, you cut me off, and I'm like, I didn't mean to, sorry. I was trying to play COD. So it's I don't know. I like that it kind of like it relaxes me, but at the same time it makes me so viciously angry that I just turn it off.
Yeah. My biggest funny thing for me is like I like gaming like I like alcohol, if it makes sense. So you see in a movie, you'll see the guy sitting there with like his cup of bourbon or whiskey or whatever, right? I like the idea of grabbing that cup of whiskey, but when I do it, I never drink it, right? It's just I just don't do it. I'm the same way with video games, where I like the idea of playing a video game, and then when I've played it, like I know me so well that if I bought a system, because I wanted to get the PS4, because there was the pack you could get that came with the Star Wars Battlefront game.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play Battlefront. I wanted to play it so badly, and we had them at work where I worked before, and I kept thinking I could buy one. Like I can get one of these things with the Battlefront pack, and and use my points and barely pay anything for it and whatever. So I never did though. And then one day I was at my brother-in-law's house, and he was playing Battlefront. And I said, "Oh, is that Battlefront?" And he goes, "Yeah, you want to play?" And I played. I'm not shitting you. I played it for like 35 seconds, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I handed him the remote back.
The funny thing about that whole conversation is you're wearing a Jack Daniels shirt.
Yeah. I got it at the distillery.
Like,
I got it at the distillery in Lynchburg.
You don't really like the whiskey. You don't really like
the
gaming.
I do.
Shirt.
I do like the whiskey. I use Jack Daniels in things like I do cooking with it, and I'm gonna blame Chef Christina for that, because I use it as an ingredient in things, but I'm not just gonna grab like a double shot on neat and drink it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink.
How about you?
Hold on, let me just text my sponsor.
What do you like the most about games?
What I like the most about games, I personally like the story or memories or emotions attached to the games. So like I remember very vividly playing those like games that I was talking about earlier. Games like Dr. Mario and Duck Hunt make me think of some of the only memories I have of my uncle, who passed away when I was like 9 years old. Like I remember those games and playing those games with him, and like my younger cousins and him, and like the memories that we had with that, because like I hold on to that. And then the story, like I mentioned earlier, I don't know we'll have a whole lot of time to talk about this, but I've watched several playthroughs of games because I'm not good enough at gaming to actually play them, but I heard about the story. I saw like the trailers for the games or whatever, and I decided that I wanted to like watch someone who's actually good at playing the game, just so that I could like experience the story of the game. So for me, it's a story. It's less. The story is what takes me. With that kind of stuff. So if it's an easy game that I can actually play and not get frustrated with, like something like Ratchet and Clank or Legend of Zelda, or like there's like these RPG games that you can play on computers, like Undertale is one that I've played, and which is a very interesting game, a very interesting concept for a game, but they're easier to play. I will play those, but the ones that I can't, then I'll just watch it for the story.
For me, I like I like designing. I like customizing things. Like customizing characters, or like in the WWE games, you can customize your entrance and your music and the lighting and like the whole thing from stages. I love that. I could spend more time just customizing things and never actually play the game. I love that. Like that's why I like games like Skyrim, where you're always buying new weapons and you can do different things, and like as long as you can upgrade and you can change things, car games, all that kind of stuff, where you can build onto your car. I'd spend more time customizing things than actually playing games.
That's like The Sims. Like anytime I've ever played The Sims, it's all about building like the craziest house.
Yeah,
because you're just customizing it, whatever. But I get that. The customizing aspect.
There are so many games that we haven't even touched on.
Yeah.
With that, like you just talked about The Sims, and I just remembered, and I'm trying to remember, it must have been a Facebook thing. There was like a Simpsons game, and you could go and you built Springfield, and you just kept going, and you had to collect coins and stuff like that. But there are so many games like that, and there must have been a Facebook thing, and we all played it at one point. But it was there's like the puzzle games, right? Whether they be something like Tetris or the original like Arkanoid. I remember that one in the arcade. My friend used to go in there with a quarter, and I'd spend like $20 on games, and then we'd leave at the end of the night, and he'd go, "Oh, I spent 25 cents because he played Arkanoid all night."
One game.
One game, yeah.
You reminded me the Simpsons game on Facebook.
Yeah, that was Facebook, right? I'm not.
Well, I'm thinking of something different. There was like a question game, questions about Simpsons on Facebook. It was like a never-ending. There was a never-ending question game. I was playing Big Brother online. You know the TV show Big Brother.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was accepted to play this version of it online through Facebook, and there was like people all over Canada that were playing, and I made it. I was the third one. I actually made it to the final three, but the only reason I didn't go further was because the challenge was you had to be online and you had to answer the Simpsons game, and whoever had the most points within a 24-hour period went on to the finals. Well, I was working in Ottawa at a Henry's Exposure show at the time, so I was staying at a hotel, and I didn't have a phone. I mean, it's before cell phone. So I had to go down to the lobby of the hotel and stay on their lobby computer and play this game all night while we were doing the Ottawa Exposure show. So I had to go to sleep. And anyway, long story short, I didn't win.
Right.
So
because you weren't willing to give up an entire day of your life.
I couldn't. I was selling cameras.
Yeah.
But yeah, life. So it's interesting though how people can make a living playing games. Like there are competitive gamers that make $5 million playing video games. I mean, it's ridiculous what you can do. I think gaming is incredible. I think it's limitless. There's so many different kinds of games for people, and there's so many different ways that we can express ourselves by the games we choose. And of course, we can even learn how to make our own games if we really wanted to. I'm not interested, so I'm not going to do that.
But it's interesting though how many games that are popular that are built off of the same engine as other games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Or games that are popular that have been around since board game times. Like I still play Uno on my phone. I play Monopoly on my phone. All of these old games that I played on that I loved playing board games, they're actually better now when you play it online because you don't have your stupid brother cheating and throwing the board every time you beat it. Right?
And actually, to say that, I downloaded like 3 days ago. I downloaded a snooker game, a billiard snooker game, from my iPad, and I've been playing that at night while Chris was. We watched a movie that I wasn't super interested in. It was a good story, but I was sort of following along as I played snooker, so it was good.
That's the best.
Yep.
Phone games are the best for that. And by the way, I've sent you guys an invite to play Uno, and I don't think anybody has accepted my invite yet. So I just
Right. Where did you send me the invite?
I think it was in our Facebook chat, but
was it? Oh,
yeah. So if you want to play Uno, I'd love to play Uno. Okay, so it's been fun chat. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add about games before we ask the final question of the night?
I just think that as computers continue to advance and the technology advances, we're going to get the sky is the limit. Like it's like literally, I don't think there is a cap anymore. Like I remember back to buying my first computer that had Windows 95 on it. It had like a 25 gigabyte hard drive in it, and or maybe it was 250 megabytes. And the guy that sold it to me is like, "You're never going to need a bigger hard drive." And we talked at the beginning of the show, or maybe it was even before we started recording when we were talking about Call of Duty and the expansion packs. But that the sky is the limit, because as the speeds of graphics processing and computer processing and memory and storage sizes get bigger and bigger and really limitless with the cloud. I don't think there's going to be a cap to it. Like what they're going to be coming down with, like what they come out with 15 years from now is going to make what we're playing now look like asteroids on the Atari 2600.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. So it is an exciting time to be in video games, but I think after the show, I'm going to go hook up that Wii to that TV and maybe play a little bowling and reminisce of when I used to play. I used to play Wii Sports with my father-in-law, right?
Shit was so good.
Yeah,
very cool.
But that's my only thought. So before I ask the final question,
yeah, I think the next time I buy a new system, the PS3 that I have is like I still play hockey and a couple other games, but the next game I have, I've always said the next gaming system I buy will be one that looks like real life.
Mm-hmm.
When you play it, it looks like you're playing real life. Now I think your PS4, you have games that pretty much look like real life now.
Yeah, the new Modern Warfare actually is actually pretty. The way like the mechanics work and the detail that they paid a lot of attention to detail in this game. Like the way like the characters move, like especially when they sprint with the weapons, like they take their finger off the trigger and they run with it. Like it's crazy. Like the sounds and it's nuts. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's never ending, and I'm going to keep on playing. Yeah, Aurora.
To add to that point, like, I mean, yes, I think it is great that like technology can advance so much and the detail in games can be so interesting, but there's the other end of the spectrum where sometimes maybe there's not so much attention to detail in terms of like the actual graphics of a game, but more so in the actual meaning behind the game or the story behind the game. Because some of the best stories that I've watched or listened to or played in games have very basic kind of graphics, and they were made only fairly recently. Like RPG level games with such interesting concepts. So like what I mentioned before, Undertale, you can play that game in so many different ways. There's several different storylines by making certain kind of choices in the game, like killing something versus not killing something, and how the game ends is completely different based on how you play it. And just like the concept of like having the ability to choose and like go astray from what the game actually, what games normally put you in like the concept of you come up to an enemy, right? You come up to an enemy and you usually just go for fighting that enemy. But in some of these new games, you can actually choose a different option to talk to the enemy, to converse with the enemy. And I guess this whole concept comes into terms of like things like when I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, anything could happen. Like one game, we convinced a dragon to cut out one of its hearts, rather than us like actually fighting him and like trying to kill him and like, you know, endangering his family and endangering ourselves because of the way that we talked to him and how we were able to convince him. So I think games have gotten a lot more deep, not just in the graphics. I mean, graphics is a big part of it too, but there is a lot of interesting storylines and a lot of different interesting ways that games have been going, because people are willing to put that depth into it in many different ways.
There should be a better way to learn about these games, because that sounds cool and I'd never even heard of it. You know what I mean? Like there should be a better way to find out what.
Well, I mean, there's YouTubers that like just play games, right? For people.
Who watches YouTube?
But then there's like, there's recommendation lists, there's whatever, right? So like it just depends. Like most of the stuff I heard from my siblings, like, and then I like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I might just like download it and check it out. Or
so much like music, movies, books, TV shows. A lot of it is word of mouth, right? It's what you find out about from what your friends are playing or what's going on. Sort of like you say, social media, YouTube, what's big, what goes viral, and that's how we find out about these things, right?
Yeah.
So creative. I love it.
I do too. All right. Well, let's wind this show down and let's get into the final question of the night. So the final question of the night for us this week is, what is your favorite video game of all time? Sean, go for it.
It's a tough one. I got two. Is that okay? Can I have two? Can I break the rules?
There are no rules.
Okay, good. Thank God. The first one I remember was I had for the N64, but it was a Spider-Man game, and it was so choppy and the graphics were terrible, but it was like the most fun I've ever had playing a like semi-free roam Spider-Man game ever. I can't remember. I think it was just called Spider-Man for N64. I can't remember if there was like a separate name for it, but it was brilliant. It was fantastic. And the next one I remember is Skate 2. Skate 2 is like, oh, like you can't top that ever. That's like the be all and end all of skateboarding games. And I will play it for hours until my eyes burn and my fingers are falling off my hands.
What system was that for?
I believe for the 360 and PS3, I believe.
I could actually get that game. Cool.
You should. It's very good.
All right, Aurora, what about you?
Go to somebody else.
All right, Mark.
I can't choose.
Yes.
Mine are actually not for any game console. It would be in the arcade when I was younger. There was, I think I mentioned earlier, was a game called Black Tiger that I just loved playing that game. It was so much fun to play. But the other one was one of the original driving sims, Pole Position, where you were in the F1 car. I loved sitting in that machine, and you had the steering wheel and then there was like Outrun in the same spawn. So it was pretty much any driving game, but of that one where you were driving, Pole Position, Outrun, those are my favorite types.
Yeah, those are the best because you're sitting in that big machine. You got the steering wheel, you can shift, and you got the brake and the gas.
And then later on, when they got into Outrun, it was the machine would actually shake as you were going around a corner and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't want to say a specific game, but that style of game is my favorite one.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Aurora, you got anything? D&D.
It's so hard. It's so hard to choose. No, we're sticking to video games at this point because I feel like we're gonna talk about tabletop games and like
I'm gonna take
another point.
I'm gonna take a guess and say she says Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
No.
Damn it.
But yeah, I feel like Legend of Zelda. Like, I haven't played that one actually. But yeah, I do like many of the Legend of Zelda games. The one that has the strongest memory for me, which is, it's kind of sad because it was the first one we ever played because our first game system that we ever had in our personal house was a Nintendo Wii. Actually, we never got games, and then after we got the Wii, we got the PlayStation 2, I think it was. So it was Legend of Zelda.
Wind Waker?
Oh, no, not Wind Waker.
I think I know this one. Hold on.
Twilight Princess.
Yes. Okay.
Twilight Princess. That I got so far in, and Jace. Jace has been on the show. Jace overwrote their file with my file. I was about to beat the game, and I just rage quit. I was like, I'm done.
No.
I'm done. But I loved that game. I love that game.
Poor
I loved
form.
I loved all the stories. Jace
And you
was
loved
young.
Jace until that moment. And
I was so mad at Jace. I was so mad at Jace. So yeah, for me, that story, I was really into that story. Obviously, there's other story games that I've like played. I've like watched playthroughs of, but I wouldn't count that as a like my favorite game of all time because I actually didn't physically play it myself. So I would say that those kind of games are not, I wouldn't choose them as my favorite game, but I guess that one would be probably my favorite game.
Right.
But it was just a very strong memory.
Yeah, no doubt. That would piss me off.
Yeah.
I remember, oh my God, recording over all my old PS2 with those little memory card things that you had to put in the front. And that was horrible. I've still got all that stuff too.
Yeah.
My favorite game of all time, hands down,
Wow. Okay.
Skyrim.
Okay.
This game is never ending. I've got thousands of hours on this game, and I'm still finding things I hadn't played before. It's this almost limitless world that you can go around and start these different adventures, and you can create characters and build them up to limitless levels and all kinds of power, and just, oh man, I could just play this game all the time. Sound, no sound, doesn't matter. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, man, this game is awesome. I just wish that they updated it again for PS3 because now I got to buy a new system to get the new version of the game, which I'm not going to do. So
yeah, ESO is lame.
oh God. Anyway, that's me. So Now, we didn't really talk much about games on a phone, because I think if we talked about games on a phone, I'd have to say CSR2 racing game.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, you might like that one. Uno is great. And there's this other game that I'm playing all the time right now. I don't even remember what the name is. It is called, let's see here. It's called Blank Screen. There it is. Pocket Champs. See, I find games on a phone are fun because you can just kind of, like Mark was saying, you know, your wife's doing something and you're not tuning into that. You can just sit there and zone out on something else and passes the time, whatever. But I think the whole point of a show like what we were doing tonight is to talk about how gaming is super creative, and either whether you're making games or you're playing games, it can spark your own creativity. It can, in the case of Sean, spark an entire career per se when you're skateboarding. I mean, that's something that was a huge part of your life, and you got that from playing video games. I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
And of course, being the age that I am, seeing that history of gaming has been really interesting too. You know, you're always waiting for that next level of graphics. You're always waiting for that next level of gameplay. And of course, being a wrestling fan, the WWE games I've had these games since way back. And every year I'm like, oh, they've got this great new engine. Try it out. Okay, it sucks. Then you get the next year. Oh, there's a fully redesigned physics engine, whatever. Try that out. Okay, this is supposed to be. Oh, okay, this one sucks too. Like, there's so many different games out there that I'm even scared about paying the money for them, because, like, even shopping for games, it takes forever to find the right game. I don't know about you guys, but you're looking through. Is this okay? Is this okay? You buy it, you take it home, and it sucks. Like, come on. So I'm at the point now where it's all games here. Rarely do I actually play the PlayStation anymore. I think if I had a PS4 or 5, that might change, but who knows? Anyway, guys, what's the next game for you? The game of sleep?
Fuck, I'm gonna play COD tonight.
There you go.
I'm waiting.
Nice.
Yeah, I might go hook up that Wii. But yeah, we've been talking about getting. Chris wants the Miss Pac-Man, the actual arcade game for Miss Pac-Man. That would be kind of cool.
I'm kind of bummed Ryan didn't show up for this show. I mean, Ryan hasn't been on our shows in such a long time. Pretty much since Sean and John have been on the show as well, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But he has stand-up games as well, and I was kind of hoping he'd be a part of this conversation.
He's got, I think, Golden Tee and another one.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been fun. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Can't wait to see you again next week. And for everybody who's watched this week, I hope you enjoyed the show. We always have a good time getting together and talking, so hopefully you enjoy watching. And if you have any questions or if you want to be a part of our show, please let us know. We'd love to talk to you. If you comment on our videos, if you want to send us an email, we're happy to reply and have a chat. Any questions you have or any topic ideas that you have for us, let us know. And if you want to be a guest and you're a creative that has turned your creative passions into your lifestyle, let us know. We'll get you on to be a guest. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next week.
Nice.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.